And people that say, well, what about Trump? Don't realize Trump is offering people something. He's offering them change. He might be lying about it, but he's at least making a compelling case for how different he is going to be than everyone else. Do you understand? For Trump, the hamburger he's serving is trans people. We're going to every undocumented migrant. But the ones that do care recognize how bad the situation is. And even the ones that don't care recognize that every single person in the media, every single person in politics is presenting a pro-Israel position, regardless of what the population feels. So the easiest way to present yourself, even if you don't care, even if you love Israel, okay, just lie and say you hate Israel to win a goddamn race, to at least show how much of a anti-establishment figure you are at a time when people are looking for that, okay? It is the easiest way to communicate earnesty.
Yeah, the Democratic Party does not like him because he represents a part of the party that the Democratic establishment does not like, which is the Democratic Socialists, which is where the party is.
I disagree with this, all of it. Really? Really? Oh, Andrew Schultz and Epstein? Okay. I don't know why you are saying you disagree with everything that I just said, but
they just won't acknowledge it. Like, the Democratic Party is the Democratic Socialist Party. Whether you like it or not, that's what the base wants. That's what the people are into. And the old establishment is not what they're into.
Honestly, that's what America wants. And you know why I'm going to tell you the link.
Bro, look at this. Look at this. Look at this conversation that's taking place. And people were trying to tell me that Zoran Mamdani's victory would not change discourse dramatically. Okay, that's so funny.
That he was using, and we had this conversation on Breakfast Club, because I'm like, yo, Democrats, y'all can come up with names for everything, right? Yeah. Pregnant people, all that, like, right? Yeah. But you can't come up with a better term for socialism. So when he uses the term affordability, and he just talks about how things aren't affordable, that resonates with everybody.
Mm-hmm. Our campaign is one that sees this city under attack in two ways. An affordability crisis on the inside. We're the most expensive city in the United States of America. 1 in 4 New Yorkers are living in poverty. The rest are living in a permanent state of anxiety about whether they can keep affording this city. And then we're under attack from the outside from a Trump administration that is hell-bent on going after not only New Yorkers, but frankly, democratic cities across the country, like we're seeing in Los Angeles right now.
That's what people want to hear.
The message
New York's too expensive.
The message is resonating. Here's the thing, and this is the thing. Poor people did not vote for him, okay? Poor, uneducated people did not vote for him because poor, uneducated people, unfortunately, do not have the same entitlement to their dreams than middle class and rich people do. If you're like middle class, upper middle class, and rich, you're like, I deserve to be super rich and have everything work out, and like I'm entitled to that. Poor people a lot of times come from generations of poverty and they don't see that upper mobility. It's sad, it's tragic.
But wouldn't affordability resonate with those poor people though? Like when they hear that, when they hear somebody simply say, hey, shit is too expensive.
Yeah, but they didn't vote for him. So to me, the message that's really connecting are these people who feel entitled to a better life because they did everything that they were supposed to do, i.e. go to college. They got a meaningless degree. They have $200,000 worth of debt that they cannot get out of. And they're like, okay, I need the government to help me, which is understandable. The problem is the solutions that Zoran has, many of them, I'm not saying all of them, but many of them, he either cannot execute or they actually won't work to help the people. And that is, there is like data to.
Poor people didn't vote for Zoran. Shit is just like a misunderstanding, a misreading of how, a misreading of the data in and of itself. Okay. Also, again, it doesn't matter. These people don't give a. I mean, Andrew Schultz is just like repeating talking points that he's heard somewhere else. Okay. But the people that present this as an argument, as a serious argument, are not sincere about it, okay? The analysts that say, oh, the poor people don't want to vote for Zoran, the data guys that say that are saying that in a cynical way, okay? They don't give a shit. There are a multitude of reasons for why some of the poorest voters did not vote for Zoran, okay? One of the major reasons is that they are going in for name recognition candidates, and a lot of them did not actually see any positive messages about Zoran, considering that the television ad spend was entirely anti-Zoran Mamdani. Okay, That's it. There's also the reality that under $100,000, which is what Zoran won as a voting block, with the exception of people who made like less than 35 grand, some of which who have report that kind of income are already retired as well. So then all of a sudden you're not thinking of like the guy who works at McDonald's, but you're actually thinking about someone's grandfather whose like yearly income is that low because they're old and they're just on Social Security. People basically, a huge reason too is Cuomo's legacy on the Housing Commission. So they just know that from the days old. They don't keep up with anything, but that has directly affected them. Yes. But it doesn't mean anything. It's just something that Zoran has to make up for. It's a target for him to penetrate with positive messaging in the general this time around. It doesn't mean that like the poorest voters don't with Zoran Mamdani, or it doesn't mean that like his policies are actually bad for poor people or some shit. Okay. Ultimately, it just means that low information voters who are sometimes high propensity voters, really old voters, for example, older voters from every demographic, went with who they knew. Name recognition. It's that simple. It's not, it doesn't have to be more complicated than that. It's not like, oh, these guys are antagonistic to like socialism because they are the smartest when it comes to voting, like, or some shit like that. It's just so stupid. Okay. And these guys don't give a shit. The reality of the matter is, if those guys all overwhelmingly wanted socialism, no one would talk about it, okay? No one. They'd be like, these guys are poor, they're dumb, they don't know what the f they want to destroy, they're selfish. It's that simple. They're grabbing on to whatever they can to just say, oh, well, you know, these guys just like, they didn't vote for Zoran. What does that mean? What? There's got to be some other reason for it, you know?
Prove and back this. So I think the message is really resonating. And to be honest with you, I think the only party right now that you could say actually puts America first are the Democratic Socialists. Like, if you really want to talk about, oh, rah, 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 MAGA, America first, no. MAGA ain't America first in right now. No. It's going against what the base.
Yeah. Remembering when Matty Iglesias said that people are only showing up to rallies for Bernie because he's Bernie, seems pretty crazy that the left happens to keep on lucking into these uniquely charismatic figures who are popular for reasons that have nothing to do with policy. I'll be the first to say that the difference between a flop leftist campaign and a successful leftist campaign often has very little to do with ideology, but Jesus Christ, people are addicted to ignoring the obvious thing. Yeah. I say every Democratic consultant that keeps repeating the stupid take that Zoran won because he's charismatic and great on social media discount the real reason why those qualities work in his favor. It's his policies. Bernie Sanders is also a beloved figure. He's 80 years old. But it's just funny because people like don't want to understand that. People don't understand that like the fundamental driver of a politician's campaign are his policies. You don't go to McDonald's because you want a Ronald McDonald. You go to McDonald's because you want to eat a Big Mac. Okay? Sure, marketing plays a role, but if you didn't actually like the chemical compounds that they're cooking up in a laboratory that specifically tickle your taste buds in a way where you want to eat that burger over and over again, you would never go to McDonald's. Holy, it's so stupid. It is so dumb. People just like, I don't understand. You don't do this in any other, you don't do this for any other reason. Okay? American analogy would be like, imagine hamburger. Yes, I have to do that because I am talking to Americans, okay? I'm talking to Americans. And people that say, well, what about Trump? Don't realize Trump is offering people something. He's offering them change. He might be lying about it, but he's at least making a compelling case for how different he is going to be than everyone else. Do you understand? For Trump, the hamburger he's serving is trans people. We're going to kill every undocumented migrant. We're going to force them out of this country. Okay? And also, we're going to destroy the way things have existed that you haven't succeeded in. The previous way of doing business and doing politics has demonstrably failed for you, the average working class individual. So I'm presenting an alternative. And people looked at that and went, okay, well, I don't want business as usual. I want this new thing. I want to mallet through the institutions because the institutions have never represented my interests. Yeah. And yeah, the only thing that the Democrats have done is basically just like, I guess, try and act as though this is a real issue with the gerontocracy, which it is. Gerontocracy is a problem for sure. But once again, I go back to my argument about Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is 954 years old. Okay? Bernie Sanders is not a uniquely telegenic figure. Bernie Sanders is not a uniquely charismatic figure. He's not a once-in-a-lifetime candidate. He doesn't have the same level of charisma that Obama did. Bernie Sanders is successful and popular and beloved because he has spent a lifetime hyper-focusing on the policies. He has spent his entire 954 years on Earth constantly fighting for the things that he believes. Okay, why is this communist talking? Adam Johnson criticizes Andrew Cuomo's stupid campaign by saying, so funny that he now has to shoot B-roll of himself talking to average people and he looks annoyed and very bored. All previous footage of Cuomo actually in New York City was FBI surveillance style telephoto shoots of him getting out of a black car and walking into $2,500 plate fundraisers. Here, by the way, news here on the launch of Majority Dems, a new hybrid federal PAC supporting prominent younger Dem electeds with records of winning tough races, many of whom are quite blunt about what they see is the old guard party establishment's problems. I feel like ex-normie here, and I voted for Trump in 2016 for that exact point. But now that I'm better and more informed person, I realize that is only half the story. But yes, being different than establishment matters to people a lot. New neoliberal front group just dropped. In some ways, the group structure resembles that of the Democratic Leadership Council, the once influential group that successfully pushed the party to the middle in the Clinton era. There have been 90,000 of these billionaire-funded, we just want to win, drop liberal orthodoxy, big tent front projects launched in the last 6 months. More consulting grifts designed to push the party right under the auspices of savvy pragmatism. Definitely need to do a breakdown. So much Silicon Valley and billionaire money funneling into the same consult class losers to energize hard-nosed, youthful Democrats who can win in Trump country, who will courageously defend crypto and Israel. The only new language they traffic in is the pseudo-progressive language of opposing gerontocracy, which is to say that they want to recruit a new generation of Buttigieg clones, ex-spooks, and 40-year-old AIPAC reciting empty shirts. This will cause yet another demonstrable failure. It will be failure after failure. You cannot win with just youthful faces that are still communicating the old message. These guys are so hyper-focused on the optics that they just don't realize that it's not. Like, optics are important, okay? Optics are important, but what people fail to consider is that optics are only as important as how much they can get your message in front of people. And if the message itself, if the policies, the fundamental plank of every candidacy, the hamburger, okay, that you want to eat, if the policies are bad, if the policies are not communicating a change, and you're not able to do that earnestly, then it doesn't fucking matter. Look at Richie Torres. Richie Torres is young. He's gay. He's black. He's Afro-Latino. Why is he despised? He's a reviled figure in the Democratic Party. He's all of those things. He presented himself as a progressive. Why does Richie Torres suck? Why? It's because he doesn't serve anything but Israel, okay? That's it. That's it. That's the main point. I have a million examples like this. Okay, I can give you a million examples of success coming from a Bernie-style candidate that does not have the charisma and does not have the wherewithal to understand social media, doesn't speak the language of social media, and yet he can go on Theo Vaughn and cook. Why? Is it because he understands the media landscape? Is that what it is? No, that's not the reason. It's because he's an honest dude. But while many of the officials involved in majority Democrats similarly come from the center-left, organizers insist there is no ideological litmus test to join. Okay, look forward to seeing all the left-wing candidates they fund and support. New York Times says the effort emerged from this memo. Notice how the New York Times frames it as younger Democrats with records of winning tough races, but if you look at their members, it includes, among others, Dems in areas Harris won, Joe Neguse, Richie Torres, Buffy Wicks, ran unopposed in the Bay Area, Mike Johnston, 56. You put Richie Torres as a hero in this pile of people, and you give the game away. You want people who are going to be pro-crypto. They're going to write pro-crypto legislation. They're going to do the same thing that the establishment Democrats have done, which is to cave and capitulate to right-wing framing on a lot of these issues. And ultimately, above all else, they're going to defend Israel. Am Israel high all day, every day. People have a better nose for this stuff. They can see inauthenticity. They can recognize it. They know that's all they've seen. If you just keep doing that over and over again, you're not going to win. But at a certain point, you have to realize maybe they just don't want to win. They want to give more B-2 bombers to Israel. Important to understand that moving the party right, backed by billionaire money, is unpopular. So moving right must always be framed as a reluctant, hard-nosed reality, an act of courage. But many on their short list have no such necessity. It's almost like there are other factors. Insider Memo envisions a new DLC. A former venture capitalist and a fundraiser has a bold idea: market-friendly moderation. I'm going to lose my mind, dude. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. It's just like, yeah, that's what we needed. Repackaged moderation.
Absolutely.
I've been inflating the budget, continuing the foreign wars.
Absolutely.
Like, the only party right now that is America first, meaning I want to help American people. Maybe the way they want to do it won't work and it could be detrimental, but at least the messaging and the intentions are to help the American people, are the Democratic Socialists.
You want to know why?
Talk to me.
Because of all the minorities that are Democratic Socialists. The blacks, the Latinos, the gays, because those are the people who really believe in what America says it is.
I think Democratic Socialists are a bunch of like college-educated white kids. I think that's what it is.
That's not true, man. That is not true. That's part of it. That's part of the coalition. But Charlemagne is right. Charlemagne doesn't mean that these guys are like card-carrying socialists. He's just saying that the values that the Democratic Party is supposed to defend are values that people have to care about because they are those people. Democrats say they care about racial inequality, right? Yeah, if you're black or brown, you have to care about racial inequality. It's a part of your existence. That's it. It's a part of your existence. You have to care about it. It's a necessity for survival. Of course you care about it. That's what Charlemagne is talking about when he says, like, the Democratic Socialists and the Democratic Socialist candidates, many, by the way, not a single one of them is white, for the record. Weirdly enough, I don't know why Andrew Schultz is talking about that. Not that it fucking matters. They could all be white. I don't give a shit, okay? I care about policies. I don't care about the aesthetics. I care about people's background as long as their background has shaped their worldview to earnestly communicate progressive causes, to earnestly say, look, my experience as a black person has led me to arrive at this conclusion that racial inequality is an issue. It's one that we have to solve. That's what I care about. Okay? I don't give a shit if it's a white person that is actually also on board with this cause or if it's a black person that's on board with this cause. It's interesting that socialist and progressive candidates tend to be non-white, but they do better among white voters unless they're black.